Everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. My name's Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. Saturday today, and I am actually having an amazing day up in my craft room. I'm getting ready for an event tomorrow. I'm going over to the Vancouver area for an opportunity event, which is really fun to get together with other demonstrators and their guests to talk about Stampin' Up! And why I love being part of this community. So I'm excited about that, doing some prep work for that. But at the same time, speaking of stamping community, I am listening along with maybe 6,000 other demonstrators worldwide to Creativity Now, which is a demonstrator-only event. We get to see and play with a new suite of products that's coming out in September in the new mini catalog, and just so amazing to be online with everyone. So I took a little bit of time out because I wanted to be with you today and share one of the new products that's coming out in July called Bauble Blooms. And I'm excited about this one because I am partnering with my friend Lorraine, who is from the US, and we are doing an online retreat with this bundle and the Season of Elegance designer series paper that is a carryover from last year, some gorgeous mossy meadow and gold ribbon, and they're called low profile sparkle dots. So all kind of coordinates in Christmassy colors, and it's been a fun bundle and products to play with as I've been getting ready. So I have my projects ready. If you join us, you have 3 options to join us. You can join and what am I thinking? 3, maybe. Anyway, it might be 2 now that I think about it. You can join for the full retreat, or you can join and purchase the Facebook access to the Facebook groups of PDF and the video tutorials as well. And I believe I'm missing a 3rd option in there, but the full retreat includes everything you need for the projects. And again, there's 8 projects in that. So if you want more information, hop over to my website or hop over to my Facebook page and you'll find the information on the Bauble Blooms Christmas in July retreat. Okay, let's get on and play with this. So this is the Bauble Blooms bundle. So it's a stamp set and die. There are only 5 dies, but there's lots you can do with it. There are it's 2-step stamping and some great sentiments. And so you can do lots of things with this. I'm going to do a little bit of a watercolor wash to create my bauble today. You can do some heat embossing on it. You can just do some 2-step stamping. It's a very fun bundle to play with. And then you have only 5 dies, like I said. So you've got the die that will cut out the big bauble. It's bigger. These are at 85%, so these images are smaller than what they are. So you've got the die to cut out the bauble, the die that will cut out these images here with the leaves and stems, and then you've got some caps and a little bow. So kind of just a small little set of dies that coordinate with the bundle. Okay, so let's get started. I've decided I'm going to use Basic Beige. I have been using Basic Beige a lot lately. I don't know why. It's calling to me. So this is Basic Beige, and it's 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. And as always, we'll fold on the score line, fold into the mountain. So if you're watching me, I'm just going to make sure I am live. I am live on my Facebook group. Sometimes that doesn't happen. There we are. Hey, Roberta, welcome. Oh, good. I've got somebody watching. Okay, so I've got my card base, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And then I've got a piece of Secret C cardstock that I cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. So let's start with our wash because it might need a little bit of time to dry. So this is Fluid 100 watercolor paper. Oops, I got 2 sheets here. Don't need that. I was thinking it was awfully thick. So I am going to create a wash, so the ink. So I've got Cloud Cover. Now I'm gonna, hopefully this isn't too light, but I don't want it to be really, really dark. I'm going to create my wash using a little bit of water and a, oopsie, Got my arm in my ink. Good thing it's fairly light. A little bit of water. So I've got some water in my brush. And I'm going to use some Wink of Stella because I want this to be quite glittery. So what I do is I've got Wink of Stella, and this has got it in. So if you take this black piece off, so if you're using Wink of Stella, like just as in Wink of Stella to color something, don't do this. But because I want some Wink of Stella in my wash to make it really shimmery, I am just taking and I put some Wink of Stella, and I don't know if you can see how shimmery that has gone. So I'm just mixing that up, and I'm going to just take my watercolor and I'm just going to wash this color over top. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm only doing part of it because I don't need all of it to I'm just doing one bauble on mine, and I'm kind of trying a little bit to, and if you find that you're getting not enough or you want it to be a little lighter, you can just add some water, or you could add a little bit more dark, but there we go. So somewhere I have got a baby wipe that I'm just going to kind of dry that off and clean up this. So that's the extent of a wash. You can use watercolor paper is the best because it is intended to be to hold the water. If you use basic white, you'll find your paper will start to break down just because it's really not intended to soak up a lot of water. And I'm going to take my heat tool and just dry this a little bit because otherwise I can't easily cut it out. You can make these in advance and then you've got them. But I don't know, can you see how shimmery that is? There you go. You can kind of catch the shimmer from the Wink of Stella. Isn't that cloud cover such a gorgeous color? All right, I think that's dry enough, and I'm not stamping on it, so it's not quite so critical that I get it completely dry. What I do want is this die cut that is a bauble, and you can see I can kind of move it around, and if I have a little bit of white on it, I'm actually okay with that. I'm just trying to get some differences in the colors. So there we go. I'm going to just kind of put it down like that. I'm going to cut this in half, and that way I can hopefully just bring in my little mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Yep. Again, you can move that wherever you want to get the color that you want to show. Now I'm going to run that through a couple of times. Fluid 100 paper, the watercolor paper, is a little thicker than, quite a bit thicker than our regular cardstock. So just make sure that it's covered. There we go. So there's lovely stitching. I don't know if you can see that little tiny stitching. And now I've got my bauble cut out. Okay, so I went ahead and I used this die, which cuts out some stems that you can use, and I think they go kind of, yeah, there we go, kind of like that, so that you've got some, it kind of looks like a bird. Maybe it's, nope, I think it goes on like that. So I'm just going to use liquid glue on these because I'm going to put a circle. I love blue in this case gold, but often I use blue and silver, but because I have gold foil for Christmas, I just love the color combination. So just put that on there. So, and then the other thing I did cut out in advance is one of the little caps that's going to go on mine. So I'm just going to take and put a little bit of glue across there and put my cap on. Oopsie. Now, if this doesn't stick, it might be because it's still wet a little bit. So we're just going to let that sit for a minute while we get on with the rest of our card. So I have my card base. So if you want this to have a little more pop, you could emboss your piece. I didn't do that, but I'm just going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to glue it onto my card base. So remember, the cloud cover we have for the ink, we have available in the re-inker, and then you can purchase the little package of 5 uninked spots. I don't know if I think I mentioned this on a live, that there was some issues with yes, this is not wanting to glue on. There are issues with the color reacting with the foam ink pads that we have on the rest of all of our other ink pads, and so they're not releasing this color in one of our standard ink pads this year. I'm just going to try and put a dimensional on there to hold that. It will only be released for the ink as the re-inker, and then you can purchase the Stampin' Spot. So at least we're getting cloud cover because it is one of my absolute favorite colors. So we're just going to put that kind of in the middle, like that. Now, I am going to stamp on this piece of basic white using Secret C. And I've got the sentiment that says joyous wishes to you and yours. And we have a new circle punch. This is 1 7/8. It is part of the Silly Safari bundle. Was not available for a little while, but now is. So that's exciting. And then we're just going to take and put that in the middle. And I know it covers up some of that gorgeous shimmer, but so you could put a smaller sentiment if you wanted to in the center. And I am wishing that I did some stamping or something on, let's see if these aren't really glued down very well. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to move them so that you can see them a little bit more. So they're not adhering really well on here, only because it's not dry quite yet. There we go. So isn't that a pretty little ornament? Okay, now I did forget some embellishments, so I need to get some gold or something embellishments. But I am going to put some ribbon on. This is the gold striped ribbon. And one of the things, I did this the other day, I'm going to cut a piece that's, I don't know, 12 inches long, and then I'm going to cut it lengthways. My husband just sneezed. I don't know if you heard that. All right, cut it lengthways, deconstructed. Sometimes I find it easier to tie smaller bows, especially I want it not to be huge and overwhelming the bauble. So it doesn't matter if you're kind of going all over the place like I seem to be doing. I'm just cutting it lengthways, in half lengthways. Okay, a little bit more. It's wanting to fall out of my hands here. There we go. All right, let's do it that way. There we go. Okay. So then I'm going to put this together and try to keep it together in one piece so that I can pull that easily through. There we go. And we're going to make it smaller. Once you get it to the size you want, you can kind of pull it apart, which is the fun part, because then you get the double loops. Pull it apart, so hold the two loops and then pull it tight. Like that. And my pieces want to go together. There we go. I got a bit of a twist in one. That's part of the issue. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, so I've got my bow. Trim it. And then I'm just going to use a glue dot on the top. Now, I really think if I had going to do this card again, I would absolutely emboss or do some stamping on this. Oops. That was the very last of my glue dots. And all I got was a little piece of cardboard. So that's not worked. Let's try that again. There we go. All right, now embellishments. Let's take, I think I have some gold. Yes, I do. So these are the adhesive backed metallic dots. And then I have a piece of basic white that I'm going to stamp using Secret C. If you wanted to, you could use, you don't even have to, you could just use the inside of the card. Maybe I'll do that because the white is awfully stark against the watercolor. Okay, so I've put Merry Christmas together. Hopefully that's not too crooked. There we go. And the other stamp says, wishing you, and I know it's June, and I'm sorry that I'm talking Christmas already, but I wanted to show you this. It's hard to believe that I'm talking about Christmas, but there we go. So that was a watercolor wash using using cloud cover plus, sorry, I'm just trying to do this. Cloud cover plus the Wink of Stella, which is a really lovely combination to use if you want a really shimmery card. Now, unfortunately, I've covered this one up a little bit more than I was hoping to, but it's just such a pretty card. But there you go. So, my double bow. All right, there we go. That's the Christmas blooms, no, sorry, Bauble blooms bundle that we're going to be using as part of the online retreat coming up in July. So if you're interested in that, registration is open, and I will be ordering supplies when they become available starting July 1st. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Hope you have a great day. Now, I won't be live tomorrow because I am off to Vancouver to do the Opportunity event, but I will be back live on Tuesday at 6:30 Pacific, so hopefully you can